Coming up tonight on the news at 6, the latest on Helena firefighters deployed to fight the flames in California. Plus,
didn't just plan for a sunny day.
How the East Helena School District's plans have held up in the face of their first COVID-19 case.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
Good evening and welcome to the KTVH News at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for watching us tonight on air, online, and on your favorite streaming device. Poor air quality forced school officials to cancel today's Helena Capital soccer matches. The Capital boys and girls soccer teams were set to host the Missoula Big Sky Eagles at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Girls soccer coach Brandon Price told MTN there are no plans to make up the games yet, but a release by the Montana High School Association said the fall season cannot be lengthened because it would impede on the winter sports season. All right, well, now it's time for first weather with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grebenitz.
Yeah, that bad air continues to be a problem here for a lot of the state. There have been some minor improvements, though, across the northern tier. Even Great Falls were trending towards moderate, which is better than unhealthy. But look how many locations: Lewistown, Helena, see Lake Butte, Dillon, all the way from the Bitterroot Valley through the Flathead Valley, looking at unhealthy air here. You could just see it out there as the visibility is once again reduced because of all the smoke, and air quality alerts continue. Fergus County all the way through Lewis and Clark County, including a lot of western Montana. This pattern is really not going to change. We have a lack of quality, air quality that is. Some hope here as we head towards the weekend. Tropical systems, one will directly help Montana. We've got another one that is hurting the Gulf of Mexico coast right now. And a wet weekend, no complaints. We need the rain, and that rain will act like a filter cleaning out some of the smoke. I'll have more in the full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Curtis. Well, new tonight, we have information on where the 3 Helena firefighters dispatched to California are working. According to the city of Helena, they're assigned to the August complex. That fire is burning in Northern California's Mendocino and Humboldt counties. It has already burned nearly 800,000 acres and is considered one of the largest fires in California history. Crews are working 24-hour shifts conducting burn operations for structure protection. And the Bridger Foothills fire in Gallatin County has burned more than 8,200 acres and 28 homes. Tonight, MTN's Annie Johnson tells us more about the devastation in its wake.
It's been almost 2 weeks since the fire blazed through Bridger Canyon, and even though it has passed through this area, residents will still be dealing with the effects for years to come.
I'm thinking it's going to be 10 years before it doesn't look the way it looks currently.
For several generations, Mike Papke's family has owned over 600 acres of land in Bridger Canyon.
This is my where I grew up, my mom and dad's place. This is kind of the stomping grounds of being a child and growing up in the country, I guess.
Mike's home was untouched by the fire, but much of the land he grew up on was scorched.
It's kind of a little bit surreal. You know, it almost feels like at parts there could be like PTSD.
In addition to the land, now Mike is left with possibly having to replace miles of fencing ruined by flames.
I believe the going rate's $3 to $5 a foot, and so when you start adding miles of fence to fix, that number gets really big.
And there's more concerns.
I'm not sure there's going to be any grass that comes back, you know, so now we're looking at spreading some grass seed. You know, we're going to be fighting the weeds forever. I guess there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of scenario planning, but we just don't know.
But one thing local landowners can be sure of is their community support.
We're trying to gather hay for producers that have lost hay, lost feed, and lost fencing supplies. So a lot of hay and things sometimes are covered by insurance, sometimes not, but fencing supplies are not. So we're just kind of trying to do a drive to get enough to get them back on their feet and get them through this winter.
Like I said earlier, the fire has passed through this area, but local landowners are still dealing with the effects and in need of support. Reporting in Bridger Canyon, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
The Heyday fundraiser is scheduled for September 26th and the 27th at Murdoch's Ranch and Supply Store in Bozeman. East Helena Public Schools announced a positive COVID-19 case in the district last night, and today Superintendent Ron Whitmoyer says that students and staff following the district's coronavirus plan limited the number of people impacted by the district's first confirmed case. MTN's John Riley has the latest.
East Helena Superintendent Ron Whitmoyer told MTN on Tuesday that fewer than 10 people had direct contact with the individual who tested positive for COVID-19. East Helena Public Schools currently has more than 1,600 students and faculty, an average of 300 in each facility.
Didn't just plan for a sunny day. That we tried to plan for as many difficult situations as we could, and try to minimize any spread of the disease amongst staff and students.
East Helena has been using a cohort model for their 2020 school year. That model puts students in small groups and limits them from interacting with other groups. That way, if there is a COVID case, it's not transmitted throughout the school building. All families and individuals that may have had contact with the student were notified by public health, and contact tracing has been completed. The staff and students that had potential exposure, along with the student that tested positive, will be quarantined for 2 weeks before they can return to in-class instruction. During that time, students will take part in distance learning from the school. No other classes, school activities, or sports in the school district have been impacted by the positive case.
It's the beauty of the cohort is that a small group was exposed, not a big group, not the whole school, just a very small group, and we're confident that it was contained within that.
Whitmore says that he truly hopes that there isn't another case of COVID-19 in his school district, but is realistic and prepared should another case occur. Reporting in East Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Still ahead on the news at 6, a Great Falls Area Fire Department got a $330,000 grant. We'll tell you how they're going to put it to use.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm an anchor for KTVH News. These are my boys, Harvey and Fletcher. We have been reading together since the boys were just babies. That's why this year we donated to the Scripps Howard Foundation Give a Child a Book campaign. If you would like to help and donate as well, you can head to our website to find out how your donation helps children right here in Helena.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. A Great Falls Area Fire Department is getting a much needed update to their wildland firefighting capabilities, thanks to a more than $330,000 grant. MTN's Coulter Anstadt shows us how the Vaughn Volunteer Fire Department will put that grant to work.
I think a term we used to call it was piecemealed.
After more than a half-century of service, first with Sun Prairie's Fire Department and now with Vaughn's, wildland firefighting truck 1405 is being retired.
The year by itself is a reason to have it replaced. They would like to see apparatus no more than like 10 years old. We're still working with a manual transmission. Old stuff, which is easy to replace for most of the common parts, but some of the bigger stuff like clutches become a problem.
But perhaps the most important upgrade the new truck will have is the ability to spray water on a fire from inside the cab of the truck.
Right now we got to have a firefighter out. Pull out the hose line, and we got to have them right in sight so we don't drive over top of them. It's kind of a force multiplier. We can do a lot more with a specialized wireline truck like that than we can with, dragging hose and having a firefighter outside the door and trying to keep an eye on him and keep him out of the fire and keep the truck out of the fire. And there's times there's visibility, you can't even see the firefighter right outside the door.
The new truck will also hopefully be able to hold around 1,000 gallons of water, nearly twice as much as old 1405. You could say it will be a new tool for the department. In Vaughn, Coulter Anstadt, MTN News.
All right, and speaking of old, Curtis, this smoke is getting old. Any chance it's clearing out anytime soon?
Not anytime soon here, but do have some help from the tropics. So we've got this low pressure spinning off the coast, producing the southwest flow that's steering all this smoke up into Montana. But say hello to Karina, a tropical system that will likely be drawn up into this low and provide us with some moisture this weekend that could kind of filter out some of the smoke. More on the full forecast coming up next.
Weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenens.
Welcome back, everybody. I know we all have our least favorite weather. This is probably mine when the weather is like this, with really just nasty breathing conditions outside. 77 degrees. If we didn't have the smoke, it would have been a lovely day. Our sky cam from Geyser looking back at the Highwoods. Yep, they're out there, but just obscured by the smoke that is out there. In Great Falls, 67 degrees, northeast wind of 14 miles per hour, and the air quality is improving a little bit around Great Falls. Kind of see some of that cooler air off towards the north and into central Montana in the 60s here, 70s and 80s out ahead of this little boundary that is pushing some of the real high concentrated smoke down to the south here, but don't expect to get rid of it anytime soon. On the radar, not much going on. We talked about Bridger Foothills fire. Not much growth on this. The containment continues to go up here. Cause lightning, a lightning holdover. State Creek fire, still some activity here, but we're up to 50% on that fire there. That's in some really rugged terrain and just nastiness with all the trees that are dead and downed and hung up in many areas. The Drumming fire, still little activity on this. Nothing's really blowing up here in the state, and this is great news. The Bobcat fire 100% contained right now. I'll be following that just to make sure that it is out, but our weather pattern not the best for clean air. We've got this low pressure off the coast, southwest flow, and that's pushing all of the smoke from the wildfires to the west, even into Idaho, right up into Montana. Now, Hurricane Sally, if you watched last night at 10 o'clock, it was, I showed this radar, and it's almost in the exact same location here. So imagine being somewhere on the panhandle of Florida or Alabama or Mississippi there, where you're just bombarded by this storm for now at least 24 hours straight here. Signs that it is slowly moving are happening here, but still, that's a bad storm. Remember, we've got our little tropical system that may come up here and provide a little rainfall for coastal areas, but also into Montana. There's that low, and we're in this pattern where it's kind of just converging the smoke on Montana. Remember last week at this time we had skies about as blue as that right there, but this is the wildfire smoke, and southwest flow ahead of that low pressure. It's going to continue to transport this smoke from mainly outside of state into state. A lot of these wildfires burning are producing a lot of smoke. We get a little system coming through Saturday and Sunday that will provide some rain, but right after that, the flow continues out of the west and the southwest, so we'll likely still be dealing with some of that smoke even into next week after a little cleaner air coming through for Saturday and Sunday. But there you can see quiet weather for Thursday. Friday, a couple late evening thunderstorms, and here comes that system with some tropical moisture as we go through Saturday into Sunday. A little wind should help to kind of blow some of that smoke out, but again, we're not looking at a season-ending storm system that produces widespread rainfall and snow here throughout the west anytime soon. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Still mostly smoky skies with temperatures in the 70s to around 80 degrees. For Thursday, mostly smoky skies again, 70s and 80s. Not much in the way of wind. The air quality really is not going to improve much until maybe this weekend. Friday, a couple of late storms in the western part of the state, and then Saturday, low pressure moves right over the state, scattered showers and storms, and we'll have some cooler air as well. Here's the 7-day forecast for Helena. Smoky skies the next few days with poor air quality. A little relief here this weekend. Certainly will be nice to get some moisture into the state. And for Great Falls, a little cooler the next couple of days, but equally as smoky. And let's hope for some rain this weekend.
Coming up, how devastating western wildfires are creating more uncertainty for the future of critically endangered species.
Anna's News Leader. You're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the News at 6. Climate change is being blamed for the amount of large wildfires burning in the United States. Dan Grossman looks at how these fires are believed to have killed at least some endangered birds and what long-range data shows us about the increasing numbers of catastrophic fires.
The forest is dead, and it is silent. Small plumes are the only remnants of a fire, once very much alive, that reduced soil to ash.
It is quite emotional.
And Kelly Sorensen's chances of finding the 9 California condors that call this canopy home. He shot this video 2 weeks ago as the fire was approaching. This area is now inaccessible.
This event is a real kick in the gut, and I go back and forth from anger to grief.
When Kelly joined the Ventana Wildlife Society in the 1980s, there were only 22 California condors in the world. Today, there are more than 500, but it is still considered a critically endangered species.
So we only have the 9 that are missing, but still, 9 is a big number.
That now finds itself more at risk because of these fires, which have ballooned in number and size because of climate change.
If we have lost 9 free-flying condors in just this one event, it would more than double the known cases caused by wildfire.
The Center for Climate and Energy Solutions says between 1984 and 2015, the number of large wildfires in the western United States doubled. It also estimates that for every 1 degree Celsius rise in Earth's temperature, the average burn area from a wildfire could increase by up to 600% in some places.
We have 2 of the 3 largest wildfires in California's history burning right now, so it is a simple fact.
Dr. Noah Diffenbaugh is a professor of Earth System Science and senior fellow at Stanford University. He says in the last 40 years, there has been a 10-fold increase in the amount of land burned by wildfires. Just look at California's largest. All but 3 have occurred since the year 2000, with 4 of them sparking in just the last month and a half.
Very careful, objective, hypothesis-driven research has shown that about half of that increase in the area burned in the western United States is attributable to the long-term warming.
The science is pretty straightforward. As temperature rises, fuels dry out more easily, making less prone areas spark plugs for fires. Then add in the changes in humidity, wind speeds, and long-term weather patterns that are all affected by climate change, and wildfires become larger, stronger, and more frequent.
We're still going to have further intensification of wildfire risks. We're living in a world with greater wildfire risks from 1 degree warming. 2 degrees warming will intensify those risks.
These trees stand as cautionary tales of that risk.
We're all looking for these birds, and we're not finding them.
That could have an effect on entire species. I'm Dan Grossman.
And we'll wrap things up here on the News at 6 when we return.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back. Well, do you recognize this house? If you guessed the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air mansion, you are right. And guess what else? You can find it on Airbnb. It will be available to rent out for 5 stays next month. The price tag, $30 a night. Will Smith posted about it on Instagram. The familiar residence is just as fly as it was when the Fresh Prince called it home. Bold graffiti art, posh interiors, family portraits, and of course, Philly cheesesteaks served on silver platters. This month marks the 30th anniversary of the premiere of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air series.
Wonder if that cab had dice in the mirror. Here's a look at the Great Falls 7-day forecast. Smoky skies the next few days. This weekend we will get some moisture, which will help to filter out some of the smoke.
Thanks for making us a part of your evening. If you missed any of these stories, make sure to download the KTVH app on your Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, or Amazon Fire streaming device. You can see a rebroadcast of this newscast in just a few minutes or view these stories on demand. See you back here at 10.